Okay, I know this trip is the biggest stereotype, as you'll see later in the video, but we all like our expectations validated, so I think you and Terrence McKenna's Soul on Earth will definitely enjoy this one. As I've said in most of my other early trip reports, this is yet another complete guide on what not to do, so let's start off with me and my mate, who I'll call my friend. For you non-Brits, we had a bunch of DMT freebase, 2 oil burner pipes and a scale, a 1 gram kitchen scale, so no scale. Now, anyone with brain cells knows that you don't take drug powders without a scale, especially DMT powder, but lucky for you guys, my brain cells would have shown the same value on that kitchen scale as my DMT. 0. Which means I didn't even weigh my dose for my first breakthrough. It's like losing your virginity to a sex doll. I know I'm not proud of it. So to cut right to it, I put a bunch of powder in my pipe and thought, yeah, that looks about the same as I used before. It's not like I had a terrifying bad trip or anything either. So I'm sucking on this pipe and noticed on the last toke, that there was a lot of white vapor going in my mouth, but before I could even really react, everything just started to crystallize and look really sharp and defined, almost like I was entering a room of mirrors that was hidden behind this blurry veil that had now been whisked away. Pretty quickly, I realized this was going to be intense and felt my ego kind of panicking and trying to ground itself in something. I felt myself subconsciously speaking out, asking if I was going to be okay, and instead of responding yes, DMT is a much simpler and easier way of communicating. It put me in a room that looked like this. Very easy to interpret, I know, and I'm not even saying it was similar, it was completely identical to this, and whilst it felt like I was there for a solid minute, it was probably only like a second before everything opened up more, and I felt myself getting sucked through this massive tunnel that had a bright portal at the end of it. As I was traveling towards this portal, I actually recognized what was in front of me. It felt like home, like I'd been there before and actually remembered it. I went through the portal and instantly a whole bunch of dribbling, goofy, chubby, childlike elves start running / waddling up to me, trying to get my attention, and I was straight up just in awe. They were identical to how Terrence McKenna describes his machine elves, which is pretty interesting, but I actually didn't really pay attention to or notice them after I saw something else in this realm that blew my mind way more. I was trying to figure out where I was because why the hell did I recognize it, and around me was this huge carnival going on with rides, and I vividly remember a sort of spinning Ferris wheel that they all came from. Right in front of me was this huge sign that pointed to different parts of this hyperspace, and this sign is where all of my attention went because whilst I basically remember nothing from this experience in comparison to how much actually happened, I do remember that this sign was written in a crazy complex looking alien language, like some kind of multi-dimensional hieroglyphics. The reason I remember this part so vividly is because somehow I was able to read this alien language and perfectly understand what it was pointing to. The G-spot. No, but for real, I literally remembered the thing it was pointing to like I'd seen it before. It was something really meaningful, and I remember the first thing I thought to myself was if I could bring back what's written on this sign, it would literally change everything. Not even bring back the thing the sign is pointing to, straight up just the translation of the sign was so insane, so crazy and mind-blowing and radical that I needed to remember what it said. But I could also feel that this thing it was pointing to was so different from anything I could fathom on Earth that I would never really be able to bring it back. It was kind of stuck here. I didn't even get to see the thing. I remember the entities calling out for my attention and trying to play with me, and I couldn't even really look at them because I was locked into what this sign said and what was implied by it being pointed to. It was almost like they were giggling at my awe, and before I knew it, I started getting pulled away from this reality, back through the same portal, through the same tunnel, and back through the same sort of sequence I came in through until I opened my eyes and straight up was back in the most HD version of reality I had ever seen. Terrence said it perfectly.
And you come down, and it's like being more loaded than you've ever been. It's like about a 700 mic acid trip, but you embrace it as totally down. You say, I'm totally down. I mean, you look like a termite from Arcturus, and the room is decorated in Amish quilts, but I'm completely back.
I was completely back, and straight away I stood up and looked in the mirror to see myself as some half reptilian, half robot creature. I can only imagine how the sex to make that must have looked, but yeah, the extra spatial dimensions sort of closed up, and soon I was just back in 3 of them with everything looking like a Persian carpet, then a normal carpet, and then boring old reality. Just kidding, my friend had weed at the ready for after our trip, so not really. But that sums up this story nicely. I was pretty mind blown by the experience, but that's probably the least mind blowing thing I could say, so I'll end it here. If you enjoyed, hit that like button so I know you guys want more of my dumb stories, and I'll see you in the next one.